I think I'm live now. Yeah, let's see how this appears. Okay, live, guys. Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the broadcast today. Invite your friends, invite family members, um, relatives, friends, foes, enemies, everybody. Invite everybody to today's broadcast. We are um, talking about mental health in an unequal world today. And today is World Mental Health Awareness Day. And the theme of this year, 2021, is mental health in an unequal world. And I just wanted to take this time to remind us, or I want us to rub minds together about mental health. I want us to discuss. I want it to be interactive. I want you to contribute to this topic, mental health in an unequal world. What does it mean? We always hear about mental health, mental health, mental health. Today we want to just discuss a little bit, maybe 20 minutes, talk about the theme of this year. Let it be a reflection for each and every one of us as we go forward this year. So my name is Dr. Ivy Charles, and this is the Health Gospel. We are live. I'm live on my Facebook page, live on the Health Gospel page, and we are live on the YouTube channel, which is the Health Gospel. So we are live on all our platforms. If you're on YouTube, we are live on the Health Gospel. If you are on Facebook, we are live on the Health Gospel page. And also, I'm live on my page. So, mental health can affect anybody. Mental health is not something that people think that, oh, a certain group of people do suffer mental health. I cannot be a mental health patient. It cannot happen to me. So I want us to first of all look at the definition of mental health, and I've got it here. So I'm going to reduce myself or take myself off, and then I will put up the definition of mental health by the World Health Organization. So here it is. Mental health, defined by the World Health Organization, is a state of well-being. Let me just make it bigger. Okay. Mental health, defined by the World Health Organization, is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So mental health is a state of well-being in which somebody is able to cope with the normal stresses of life. You're able to cope with challenges that come your way. You can work productively, you can be fruitful, meaning you can make meaningful suggestions, you can make meaningful decisions, and you're able to make contributions to your community. That's what mental health means. So I'm going to put myself back up. So that's what mental health means, that you are able to cope with the daily challenges of life, the daily stresses of life. You're able to cope with the things, some decision makings of your life. You're able to cope, go to work, be productive in any area of your life. You're able to make contributions to the community in which you find yourself. So that is mental health in a nutshell. That's what World Health Organization defines mental health as. And today, Mental Health Day, we are looking at the inequalities that come with mental health, the people that suffer the breakdown of their mental health. So we have people, patients or individuals that suffer, they are unable to cope with normal daily stress. They are unable, so the things that you could be able to cope with, these individuals cannot cope with. The things you've been through in life that you cope with, these individuals are unable to cope with them. These are people that maybe life event has occurred and they just spiral them down, or they have an inherited mental health illness, which they were born and they have these inherited problems, or they have a high probability of having mental health problems, or because of their lifestyle, say like taking street drugs, cocaine, amphetamines, all these street drugs that can lead them to have mental health problems, or people who, because of life challenges, they just find themselves going down that route. And we're looking at today, we're looking at the commoners within us. I mean, all of us suffer with. I just need to see comments. I don't know where. Okay, right. I've seen comments, so I feel better now. Okay. So, each of us here, we have had anxiety. I mean, anxiety is one of the commonest mental health symptoms. Each of us, we have had anxiety at one point or the other. Maybe you are going for an exams. Maybe you are facing appraisals at work. Maybe something happened or your child is playing up. Maybe you are out of job, you're looking for a job. Maybe you are going for an interview. We always have that state of anxiety, which is okay to have. It's okay to have that state of anxiety. It's okay to feel like your heart is racing, because it shows that you are that thing is important to you. That thing that has happened to you is important to you. That thing that has occurred is important to you. So you have that feeling of, okay, something is about to happen, or I'm going for an interview. I feel anxious about it, or I'm stressed about it. These are all normal things. But when you are unable to cope with it, when you are unable to face these normal stresses of life, then your mental health is breaking down. Then you need to start checking yourself. When you wake up and you feel overwhelmed, I'm not able to cope anymore, I'm not able to do the things I used to do anymore. It's as if everything is now got to the ceiling point. I cannot cope anymore. You start spiraling down. You need to check. That's the state where you are no more just normally anxious. You have started spiraling. You've become abnormal. You're normal in your normal state of mental health. Many people have depression. So people say, oh, I feel low in mood. You can feel low in mood if somebody dies, lost a family member, or somebody has died. You can feel low, or your sudden loss of a job, or sudden loss of a relation, or friendship, or something that meant so much to you. You can feel very low. But when you feel low for a long period of time, more than 28 days, every day of your life, you are not now detached from the things that used to make you happy. Or you are now detached from your friends. You are all withdrawn. You are eating too much, you're eating less. Or you are just lying in bed all day. You lack energy. Now it is no more normal feeling low in mood. You are going into depression. So these are subtle things that can happen without you knowing that I am actually going down that route of mental health illness. I'm getting to that point where I need help. And in our community, we do not recognize this. In the African community, we don't recognize when we need help. People think we are strong enough. You are a superwoman, you are a superman, you're always smiling, you're happy. But inside of you, you are dying. But you're portraying to the world that you are happy, you're okay, you're always smiling. Have you not seen somebody that was on social media yesterday and the next day you hear the person has committed suicide? Have you not heard of people that who have been busy, they have followers, but all of a sudden they commit suicide and kill themselves because they were struggling with their mental health. They were struggling with their mental health without seeking help. And in our community today, what are the things that cause inequality? The wall on its own is already a wall that is unequal. We are it's unfair. The wall is unfair. Nobody is going to help you. Nobody is there to hold your hand. The wall is unfair. So what are the things then that affect people with mental health? What are the things in this world that causes inequality more? Because this is what we are talking about today. What are the things that will cause me or you to feel like I'm just on my own, I'm all alone, there's no help? Number one is we talk about race, where you come from. You didn't define where you come from. You didn't make yourself to come from a certain place. You just find yourself coming from that place. You didn't make yourself to come from there. I'm just going to put this down. Okay. You didn't make yourself to come from a certain place. And so we come from different places. We come from Africa. We are Black Africans. There are people, Asians, the Europeans, the British. Race is very important. People from a certain race are said to have high mental health problems, and they are said to fall. So there is a study that says that Black people are 4 times more likely to be sectioned under the Mental Health Act. What does that mean? It means that we allow our mental health to come to a point where we are forcefully pushed into a mental health home for treatment. We allow our mental health to come to a point where we are forcefully, under the Mental Health Act, forced into a mental health home. Black people, 4 times more. It is said that 75 to 95% of people from low and middle income communities, like where I come from, where you come from, Africa, Asia, these people cannot access mental health services at all. So if you have a mental health problem and you come from low or middle income communities or countries, you are unlikely to access mental health services. That is the inequality we are talking about. That there are certain group of people in different races who can quickly access mental health services, and there are some certain group of people who cannot access mental health services. The government of this country don't even believe that they need to invest on mental health. They don't even believe that mental health is important. They don't even believe that mental health is important. They don't even believe that somebody can have schizophrenia or somebody can have depression. Most communities will say that one is just lazy. She's lazy. She doesn't want to do anything. Or that one is always talking about dying. No, all those sort of things, which I'm going to come to. So sex, we talk about male and female. There's inequality. There's an inequality in that gender, sex, male and female. Most male patients, men, are very unlikely to seek help when they have mental health problems. And likely so. The man ego, the man is a man, I'm the man. You are suffering, you are struggling with your mental health, but you cannot seek help. You are unlikely to seek help. This is the inequality that is happening. You are unable to seek help, or you do not want to seek help. You just don't want to seek help. Especially men, it's very difficult for them to go and say, I'm depressed, or I don't like the way I feel, or I have these ideas. It's very difficult for a man who is married with children to open up and say, I feel depressed. Instead, they go into or harmful lifestyle like drinking. They go into alcohol to drink their sorrow away, thereby causing more problem for themselves. A lot of men do not seek mental health do not seek help when they have mental health problems. We talk about of lack of respect. So people that have mental health problems, the society look down on them. The society look down on them. They feel they are not important. They treat them different. They think that they brought this upon themselves. It's a society that we live in, especially, because I always mention religion. We look down on people who are suffering. We ask them to pray. We ask them to seek the face of God. We give them fasting. We give them anointing oil. These people are suffering. They come to us. We give them prayer points. You tell them to go and do fasting. You don't advise them to seek help. Now it is getting now common among churches, which is very good, that they organize things like seminars on mental health topics. They organize things like seminars on depression and stuff like that. Before, you never hear that in the church. They tell you that in this church, because we believe in God, we cannot be depressed. There's something that makes me come into your presence, my helper. You come into the church, they feel that because you are a child of God, you cannot be depressed. You cannot be suicidal. You cannot hear voices. It cannot happen. And if you voice it out, it means you're backsliding. Sister, what have you done? You have committed some sort of sin. Oh, my sister, I think you need to seek the face of God. You cannot be weak. You cannot say, I'm overwhelmed. In the community, you think about it. I want to see comments. I've got a question here. How do you measure mental health status? What do you consider when you are assessing mental well-being? Right. All these answers are in the definition of mental health, and I'm going to put it up for you in a minute. Then I will continue. How do you measure mental health status? What do you consider when you are assessing mental well-being? To assess mental well-being, if you feel like you are unable to cope with your normal daily stress, you feel that you're low in mood, or you have this sustained anxiety, or you're hearing voices, there are so many illnesses or diagnoses under mental health. The first thing to do is to go and seek help. Seek help from a professional. Go and seek help from a professional. This is the definition of mental health. I'm going to put it up here and make it open so we can read it. So if you feel that you are not in a state of well-being in which you are able to realize your own abilities, you can cope with the normal stresses of life, you are unable to work productively, and you're not fruitful, and you're unable to make contributions to your community. Your community can be your unit, your family unit. Your community can be your immediate family unit. You're unable to do the normal things that you normally used to do. You're unable to cope with the normal stresses of life. And this is sustained over 1 week, 2 weeks, going 28 days. This is a time to seek help. It could be starting with counseling. And when you go on counseling, they will have tools to assess, okay, is it just anxiety you have? Or is it depression? Or is it something else? Because they will ask you series of mental health questions. There are questionnaires that will tell us if you have depression, or is it just anxiety, or giving them your truthful symptoms, how you feel. This is how it is assessed. If you feel that you have these challenges, you need to seek professional help. It could be a psychologist, it could be going to a psychiatrist to seek help. Pay and get a counseling session, or get an appointment and get a session with a psychiatrist, and just share how you feel, and let them let you know, okay, this is just maybe it's a normal anxiety, or you are going into depression, or there's something else going on. Do not think that I can handle this myself. This is why we are talking about the inequalities that happen with mental health. The family is there to support. If you are able to open up to your family, they are able to support you. If you are going through mental health problems, your family can support. You have to explain what is going on. If your family are not aware, they cannot support you. If you're not open to them, they cannot support you. They can't help you. So we go down to what we talked about, stigmatization. Up till now, there's still stigmatization with mental health. There's a lot of inequalities. People that suffer with mental health are unable to mix up. They are unable to be amongst us. They walk into your church, the way you look at them, the way you rate them, the way you see them is different in the community, in your gathering, in your social gathering, the way you look at them. Maybe somebody walks into your church unkempt, has not shaved, hair is unkempt, the body, because he's just looking for help. The way, even from the ushering, the way they will look at this person, the way they will assess this person, they won't give them seats among other people because they will perceive that the person who is got an order, or what sort of a person is this? They will push you aside. So stigmatization. If a family has a child or a youth who is suffering mental health problem like bipolar, schizophrenia, that family is stigmatized. If a child goes to play with a member of that family, you will call your child back. Do you know that that family, they have madness in them? Did you not see how the son does or behaves? You will stigmatize that family. This is the problem we have. This is the problem we deal with. How do me and you see somebody who is struggling with his or her mental health? This is the health gospel. I want us to be truthful to ourselves. How do you see somebody? How do you relate with somebody who is struggling? If somebody is saying to you, I'm struggling, how do you relate to them? How do you reach out to people? How do you treat your fellow human beings? Let's start from there. Because somebody might just have a very bad day, but the way you relate to them, the way you talk to them might just help. Or somebody is spiraling and is going to a point where maybe that last word, he just wants somebody to say something. And everybody is so unattached, so uninterested in this person that nobody cares how this person actually feels. Nobody cares how this person actually feels at that time. Some people will say, you're always saying this, snap out of it. It's okay, snap out of it. How do you speak to these people? How do you comfort? How do you encourage them? You meet somebody for the first time, you don't know what this person is going through. How do you speak to this person? How do you communicate with this person? Are you empathetic? Are you somebody that is encouraging? Do you speak positive words? And I mean, even if somebody is very how do I call it? Somebody appears to be very, very antagonistic to you, or you are in a place and somebody's just behaving really odd. Sometimes you feel it's because of you, or you feel that why are you odd? Why are you insulting me? People's behavior could be a reflection of their mental health. How do you relate to these people? How do you then respond to this person? I come to the understanding that some people are nasty, not because they want to be nasty, it's because of the way they feel. Especially in my place of work, where I work, people come in and they are just nasty from beginning to the end. They are nasty to the staff. They are nasty to everybody. They say things. They are abusive. You just look beyond the words they speak. If you really sit with them, you understand they are going through a lot. They are just maybe at the breaking point. They are just lashing out on everybody. So how you treat each and a fellow human being, how you treat somebody that you just met, how do you respond to someone with problems? How do you respond when if they come to you or they call you on the phone? Do you just push them away and me, I have my own problems? Or do you actually spend few minutes to actually listen to them? So these are things that we need to look into. These are the inequalities that are happening around mental health, especially in our communities. How do you, as a church member, how do you, as a pastor, treat somebody that says, I don't know how to cope anymore. I'm going through a lot right now. How do you treat them? Because that's where it starts, because it begins to spiral down. It begins to spiral down to a point that the person might then need to go under sectioning, might then be detained under Mental Health Act, might then get to a point that the person loses it and then starts going on the street. But at that point where this person is displaying the symptoms, How do we treat them? How do we come together to help these people? These are things that we need to think about. These are things that we need to consider when we are talking about mental health. So I want to hear from you. How do you relate with people who have got mental health problems? Do you stigmatize them? Do you discriminate against them? Do you think they are less humans than you? Do you think it's because you are they cannot cope? This one, any little thing, she's always breaking down. This one cannot even cope the little thing. Or when they come to you and tell them, even if it's a flim, the smallest of a problem, and they are telling you they cannot cope, do you go and tell them, me that I went through this other one, I'm still here, what about you? Or do you actually take on what they say and listen? Do you tell them, I'm here, you can talk to me? Do you give a listening ear? Today is World Mental Health Awareness Day. How do you treat somebody by your side, somebody that is suffering with mental health problems? How do you respond to them? How do you communicate with them? Or somebody you just met, how do you communicate with them? That's what I want to leave with you to reflect on. How do you treat people? What is your role in all this? Because every one of us have a role to play. What is your role in all this? How do you behave? Let's forget about medication and different diagnoses: bipolar, schizophrenia, severe depression, major depression, minor depression, all these things. Let's forget about them right now. Let's talk about ourselves, humans. How do you relate with a fellow human? Because that's where mental health starts from. Somebody is struggling by your side. How do you support them? Do you call them and say, I'm just checking on you? I just wanted to know how you are. You mentioned that you were not feeling well the other day. How do you feel today? These are the little things that we can do to help other people. These are the little ways that we can show love to other people. Or you've not seen somebody in a while. Who is your friend? And these things, it's things that we overlook because we are overwhelmed with our own problems. You've not seen somebody for a while. The person just disappeared. Do you make a little effort to look for this person? Do you make that little effort to call this person, even if you don't have their number? I remember on my birthday when I went off Facebook, people had to ask and ask to get my number. And this is something that really, really meant a lot to me. That somebody can go that extra mile to actually look for me, I want to hear, are you okay? These are the little things that make a difference. These are the little things that make a difference. I cannot stress it enough. I'm not here to talk about the big names. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm here to talk about the way in the health gospel, we as humans, how we can relate to fellow humans, how we can respond to fellow humans, how we can relate to fellow humans. That's all I'm here for us to discuss. That somebody is struggling, that person can be you. That you're able to cope with what you cope with doesn't mean everyone else can cope with what you cope with. That you went through a divorce and you're still standing doesn't mean every other person that went through a divorce will stand. That other person might go into major depression. That you went through an abuse and you came out and you're still strong doesn't mean the other person will do the same. That you went through school, you passed through the stress of school and you came out, you're still okay, doesn't mean the other young person will go through that stress and still be okay. We have to bring ourselves down to wear the shoe of someone else. We have to bring ourselves down to wear the shoe of someone else. Sometimes we have to just push your own problems a little bit for that moment and just be in the moment of someone else. Because some people, even before they kill themselves, they are looking around for somebody they can just trust and talk to. Or some just completely shut down because anybody they've spoken to did not give them any right words. I'm telling you from experience. I've met a lot of people in my workplace. They are not sectioned. They're not in the mental health home yet. They are just going through things, depression, anxiety. Maybe from the pandemic, they were struggling. They couldn't sleep. And people were like afraid. I don't want to spend time with these people. And you just spend a little time, like maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, trying to just talk to them, trying to look at what are your fears, what are you anxious about. And because you spend that 3-4 minutes, they go home happy. And that will control, or that will stop the progression of that anxiety. So somebody is anxious about something. If you prefer a solution, or do it this way, I think maybe you can look at it this way. That can just stall the progression of that problem at that time. But if all of us ignore, me, I have my own problems. Me, I have my own problems. I cannot leave my own, come and be chasing your own. We allow people to then spiral down to a point where they completely shut down, and then they start having ideas. I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy. I cannot be here. Why am I here? And nobody cares. And they get to that point. I've been a point in my life where I would have been at that point, not but for the strong support I have, but for the strong people that I have around me. The support system. The support system is very important. It can just jack you out of whatever state you are. That is why it's important. Even the Bible talks about loving your neighbor as yourself. When we talk about mental health, please do not tell somebody snap out of it. Do not tell somebody, is it this one that you're feeling like this? Do not diminish somebody's struggles. Do not think that their struggle is less than yours. Why are you feeling this way? These are things we need to learn. Do not try to trivialize somebody's struggle, because that person's struggle is specific and unique to that person. Do not try to trivialize it. Do not try to make it seem as your problem or your challenges is not big enough to make you feel this way. We have to come to a point as human beings to take everybody's struggle seriously. You don't have to be a psychiatrist. You don't have to be a counselor. You don't have to be a psychologist. You just have to be human. You just have to be human. You just have to be there for somebody. You just have to be in that moment for that person. You have to put yourself in that moment for that person. A lot of Black people are going through mental health disorder, mental health problems, because they are in churches, and churches are full of hypocrites. I will say it boldly. Our religious congregation, our religious community are full of hypocrites. So everybody says it is well. Everybody smiles. First Sunday, you wear nice clothes from head to toe, colorful. You go and dance and go home, and you're crying on your bed. Everybody is showing how strong and how spiritual they are. And they go home and they are crying in their bedrooms. Nobody to talk to. Everybody seems okay. Everybody portrays that they are okay. Their family is the best. Everybody wears anko, my husband and I, and everybody says it is well. But we are full of hypocrisy. People are dying inside. People are dying of their emotional trauma, emotional stress. Nobody to talk to. Nobody to turn to. They turn to the pastor gives them Bible portion to go and pray. They turn to the pastor's wife tells you her own problem that she has come out of. Tells you that your own is even small. If you know what I've been through as a pastor's wife, you will be happy, you will even be clapping your own. That is not the way to respond to people. You have to put yourself in that moment where this person is. I saw a patient who is not African, she's British, an elderly woman who was full of anxiety, full of depression. She's been calling services, trying to speak to somebody. And she came into the consulting room with a different problem. Question came in upon questions and led to what the main issue is, which is she had depression. So sometimes people fake it in front of the camera, in front of you. They answer, yes, it's okay, I'm fine. Sometimes you really need to take time to say, how are you? Forget about I'm fine. Really, how are you? How do you feel? Are you okay? Forget about that superficial answers. Now this is me and you. How do you feel? How are you inside you? What's going on? If the person feels that, okay, you've just gone beyond, hiya, you okay, you okay, as we do in Britain, you okay, everybody, you okay, pass, hey, you okay. In Nigeria, it is well. Sister, how now? It's well, oh, you walk past. It's well, oh, you walk past. You're dying, it's not well. It's not well until we begin to be humans and realize that many people are struggling, especially now, especially with the Black community. There are lots of things working against us as a people. Your race, racism, inequality at work, unfairness at work. Some people are just being treated unfairly because of the color of their skin. So many things you have to deal with. Children, change of culture, and all these things. So there are lots of anxiety. There's lots of things going on. Prayers is not enough. We have to become human beings so that we can support one another, so that we can be there for one another, so that we can reach out to one another. I want to see your contribution. I want to read from you, and before we close. Precious said, don't fake it, you're human too. Thank you very much. That's very true. Nsemeke says, highly spiritual people. Everybody is spiritual. Everybody is trying. Spiritual people, they don't have problems. They are living in some enclosed place. Bethel Ikoyi Salako says, very correct, says this is a good contribution. It's Sister Aret says it's really important that we are super sensitive to each other. We are accessible and ever ready to be a listener and not a judge. Very, very important to be a listener, not a judge. Who are you to judge somebody? Whatever somebody is going through, that's how that person feels. You cannot judge them. You cannot stand, somebody is talking to you and you're just like, nah, why did you even do that? The person goes home and feels more terrible. So mental health in an unequal world, what is my role to make this become equal? What is my role in all this? How do I position myself to make it better? Let's forget about government, services, charities, the programs, a mental health team, specialists. This is me and you. How do I support somebody in my community that is struggling with our mental health? How am I able to do my little bit to support somebody who is going through mental health? Am I just going to push them away? Am I just saying, my friend, you're always complaining? Finally, we need to know that we have family, we have support group. If you don't have, find one that are there, people that are truthful, people that are sincere, people that have always been there in your corner to be able to open up to them. It's not just I'm going to counseling, I'm talking to a counselor. You are married, you have a husband, you have children, or you are a child, or you're a youth, you have a mother, you have a father, you have siblings, you don't open up to any of them, you have relations, or you are just talking to people outside, nobody around you know what you're going through. At least one person, not the whole of your family are bad people. Somebody has to know what you're going through to be able to support you. All this hide and hide, it doesn't work. You've got to open up to someone. You've got to open up and speak to somebody. It might not be in your church or your community, but you've got to speak to somebody about the way you feel, about the way you're feeling, about the things that you're feeling, about your emotions. You have to be able to open up. So today I'm just here to encourage us to be humans, to encourage us to be humans again. Because mental health in an unequal world, that's two disasters together. Somebody's already struggling and there's inequality. The person cannot access health services. The person is stigmatized. The person is discriminated against because of sex, because of race. It makes their mental health worse. That is why we have worse outcome with the Black community. Let's start with ourselves. Just be the change that you want. Be that voice that somebody might need. Be that shoulder that somebody will lean on. Sometimes people talk to you, doesn't make sense to you, but it makes sense to them. That's why I said I can't do mental health, because they are telling me things I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but it is important to them. It makes sense to them. It's their reality. You just have to be there at that moment to feel that their pain. Forget about yourself first. Feel that their pain. Encourage them, even if you don't have the right words to say. Just be there and just encourage them. It will be okay. Sister, don't worry, it will be fine. Or my brother, it will be okay. I know these things are happening. I know the way you feel. These are ways we can help. These are ways we can support. These are ways we can close this gap between mental health and inequality. When you see somebody being discriminated against in your community, what do? Do you stand up for the person? When you see somebody being stigmatized, do you raise your voice and say, that is wrong, you can't do that? That's a human being too. That because she's struggling doesn't make her less a human being. So let's try together and work together to get better outcomes for our community. Let's work together to get better outcomes for our people, for ourselves. As I said when we started, anxiety is one of the commonest mental health problems, and all of us suffers it. Depression is there. So let's support one another. Let's speak kind words to one another. Let's encourage people. If you've not heard from somebody in a while, give them a call. Ask them how they are. If they are not answering, leave a message. I'm just checking up on you. I was thinking about you and I'm checking up on you. I hope you're okay. These are little things you can do. It doesn't take anything from you. Thank you so much, guys. I'm just going to put up the definition of mental health again, and I'll read it, and that's the end of it. Mental health, defined by the World Health Organization, is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Have you got any problems with mental health? Are you able to do this? Are you in this state of well-being? If you're not, it's time to start seeking help. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. If you haven't subscribed to the Health Gospel YouTube channel, please do so. We are always on live on YouTube channel, on live on our Health Gospel Facebook page, and we are live also on my page. So you can join any of these platforms, and we will come back next week with another topic. Thank you for joining and have a blessed evening. Bye for now.